Hey guys, it's been a few videos since we last did a Last of Us 2 video, but here we are. Last of Us 2, another video. I told y'all if I want to do 48 new videos on this silly game, I will very well do that. I will recoup some of the fees that you guys wasted your $60 on. And considering the first game was one of my favorites, I probably clocked more hours on that game than anybody else, considering how much I played in the multiplayer. I absolutely reserve the right to criticize it to the oblivion. Certainly because they ain't going to stop talking about it, calling it a damn masterpiece on every ad, 10 out of 10. All right. But I want to be serious. I want to be really serious on this video. I've... on some of my comments, I look at what some people say, and sort of a reoccurring theme that I hear some people say is like, why is it that you and what you say deviate so much from the reviews and the people that are giving basically a complete opposite? Now, they're saying that to try to reject my position, which has always just been critical of the storyline, not the gameplay, which I think even there is a little overrated, because if you played the first game, you played the second. I played a little bit of it. I didn't play it all the way through, but I played a little bit of it as well. But my criticism has been in the story, which I've watched the entire storyline through a playthrough, and I've reiterated that multiple times. But the reason why you're seeing such a disconnect between critic media, like people that belong to big sites, and so forth, and it seems their position on this game differs almost entirely from everybody else. Now, there's a reason for that, and it's not simply because they know more about gaming. Quite often, it's the opposite, that these guys don't know much about gaming. They just may play a game or two. But on a serious note, we call them access media, and you've heard me probably use the term a lot when it comes to reviews, comic book stuff, definitely. And who I'm referring to in that regards, we don't use that term just to use that term. We call them access media because a lot of what they do is so heavily reliant upon getting access, early copies, early viewership, interviews at will, basically. Showings, all of those sorts of things, viewings, things that the regular consumer is not going to get access to, they get access to. And you are a damn fool if you think there's no politics at play there. And I'm meaning like not necessarily politics in the relation to government, but there's a game to be played is more so what I'm referring to. Couple of, help me, I help you type of thing. I'm not going to sit here and be like all of them are just getting paid off by these companies. I certainly would not say that there aren't people that are doing that, but I'm not going to sit up and make a positive claim that that's what's happening. However, you can use your context clues and see that a lot of people play ball in certain industries. And I've seen this in the music industry from personal first-hand experience and how it goes with inflated numbers and positive reviews and so forth that are generally facilitated by the people that, like the labels and so forth, say, help me, I'll help you, we'll get you access, we'll get you exclusive interviews and so forth. We just need you to, that happens in the music industry all the time. If you don't think it happens in the Hollywood, movie industry, comic book industry, gaming industry, you're sadly mistaken. Now, I'm not saying that there aren't people that would get early access that wouldn't be critical of it. What I'm saying is, even the ones that are, And certainly the ones that speak positively of it, but even the ones that are semi-critical of it, they'll never go all the way in on it. They'll hardly ever go up. Very seldom do you see someone with early access, interview access, that is just going all the way in on these video games when they are objectively bad. And so forth. Definitely the ones that have like that social clout and that status, such as The Last of Us, which has come more cultural than anything, and it's appealed to mainstream. I want to show y'all something here. This right here is an interview that came out 2 days ago, and this is directly from Kind of Funny Games. Not only did they get Neil Druckmann a part of the interview, they got Troy Baker, Ashley Johnson. They're basically interviewing the entire, like the people that are prime for this. Like that's the people that people want to hear for. Voice actor of Joel, VP, writer, director, Neil Druckmann. It is not just a coincidence that they put this out, Kind of Funny Games, before everybody got a hold of it, and the review calls it a masterpiece, right? 10 out of 10. Masterpiece. And then, shortly after the game comes out, oh, here we are. We have interviews by way, which had to be very difficult to land, and interviews by way of the big-time shot callers. That's not a coincidence. Some people would say it was. That's not a coincidence at all. It's just not. It's just not a coincidence. That's not how it works. But this is an example of what we mean by this, and that you have to take, and I'm not saying that everybody is, like, it's got to be taken with a grain of salt. Let's put it like that. If you are to pay attention to what it is that these guys are saying that are part of these, the access media, you have to take it with a grain of salt. I'm not saying everything that they're saying is lying or anything like that, but certainly when it comes to criticizing something, you can't act as if they are going to view it objectively, because often they're never going to do that. Certainly not to the best of their ability, because, and I understand, it doesn't work for Naughty Dog to sit up here. It doesn't make sense for Naughty Dog to come on a show or the podcast of someone that is just grilling the living hell out of their game. That would make sense. Someone that you're in favor of, that makes all the sense in the world. More positive, and some of the softball questions he's throwing, he does end up talking about the leaks. Neil Druckmann, I don't know if he slips, but he basically says or suggests that he was part of the whole, okay, we're flagging people's accounts and all of this stuff. He makes it seem like in this interview he was actually a part of that. Nonetheless, look, guys, this is not a coincidence. But this is why I call them access media. You see me talk about and use that term long before Last of Us 2 comes out. There's always going to be a disconnect when it comes to that, but more so, and I talked about this with good games, like even games that you're not necessarily fond of. Skyrim, for example, may not be your game. Most people, Skyrim wasn't as polarizing as this is. Last of Us 1, the first one, as far as I'm concerned, the only Last of Us. What is Last of Us 2? What am I doing this video? Anyway, 10 out of 10, but also the user critics, right? They're saying basically the same thing. The only way it's polarizing, where you almost have unanimously the critic media, the professionals, right? Professional critics, access critics, saying that it's just the best thing in the world. And then you have other folks who aren't part of this saying, nah, bro, like it's not. And it's very polarizing like that. Generally, there's something up. The good games, you don't have that. So you can sit up there and blame me, call us incels, and we hate these types of people. You hate homophobes. You hate women. You misogynists. There's a bunch of grass for straws that you weirdos just do anytime someone criticizes, something that you feel shouldn't be criticized. Your beloved The Last of Us, right? It won't change the fact that there's a reason that that's happening. And it's not because of the things that you're saying. It's because there's a core issue. With other games, that's not what happens. With other movies, that's not what happens. Not saying that there aren't going to be people with, of course, positive game that may negatively review it. But it's not like this where it's like one side of the spectrum and the other side of the spectrum when it comes to good and bad. No, that happens because there's a disconnect there. And generally that doesn't, I mean, you can generally tell that when that happens, there's no way this game is a true, honest 10 out of 10. But when you have Critic Media protecting the hell out of these guys like they are, games journalists, if you will call them that, protecting this cash cow right here, which is going to make a lot of money, by the way. There was no way that it was not going to make a lot of money. But when you have stuff like this happening, it's just what this industry is about, what a lot of industries are about, and you're complete and utter fool if you think that there's no disconnect like here, or it just has nothing to do with the fact that they gave it a unanimously positive review, calling it basically one of the better, like just an absolute masterpiece. And then they have shot callers involved with the game on to throw these softball questions. That's not a coincidence, guys. If you play ball, you can get stuff like that. So you have a lot of people that are already part of this that will continue to play ball, and there's a lot of people that aren't a part of it that want to be access media that will ultimately play ball. This is why you got to take certain people's, and of course even user reviews, the people that don't, just take it with a grain of salt these days, because there's a lot of politics involved when it comes to these things, and I'm just wanted to do this video to kind of highlight that.